Alright, gonna be sat here, waiting for Lexington to move. She's got a belly full of food, and I actually think she's taking the time to just bask. Because snapping turtles don't really bask. So, in theory, you don't need to give them this, but trust me, in practice, it's good for their shell and everything. Because it'll go through the light anyhow, also. There. But yeah. She's just sat here. Oh, she's slightly asleep. Yeah. Well, she's just sat here. So, we gonna see. Gonna see how long it takes. There goes a minnow. I think these are fathead minnows or something like that. That's the most common minnow you get. Because it's fishing bait. It's also turtle bait. It's also snake bait. It's also bird bait. Poor minnows are like eaten by everything. Hell, even larger minnows will eat them. Like uh, creek chubs and everything will eat them, which is funny and kind of sad. Um, but yep, we're just gonna sit here till she goes into the water. So let me know because I'm not sure if that's an old injury or what, but she's always had that. Um, Does that look like an injury? Anyone that knows turtles, is that like an old injury? Like maybe she a bird snatched her, or maybe one of the other snappers bit her for a second. Because to me, it looks like a chipped shell. That white spot right there, where my finger is, right there. So let me know. Oh, there goes the minnow, and here's crawfish legs. Um, She loves those. That might be a little big for her, but I have fed her one about that this size, so I know she can eat them. She eats large things, but she won't be hungry after a while. Um, she probably actually needs to poop, truth be told, as she hasn't pooped for a while, and I haven't been feeding her that much anyhow, like for her to even need to really poop. So, um, I don't think she I don't think she's pooping a lot. I know they say snapping turtles will poop every day, um, but from what I can tell, and this is just something I've noticed with all turtles, because I'm not the biggest fan of sliders. I I dealt with a family member out in Utah growing up who had two red ear sliders. They ended up getting rid of them because it was too much work, but also those sliders were assholes. And that seems to be a common occurrence for sliders in general. Um, but from what I've seen, turtles have a habit of holding their poops and will hold it till like they get a good size meal in them, like now, and then she'll poop poop. So yeah. Eventually, what I'll end up doing is putting her in a giant enclosure, like what Kingsley is in, but bigger and wider, specifically with an aerator, water filter, stuff like that. And any fish I catch, like sunfish, bluegills, stuff like that, will go in with her. And yes, I also need to ask, what guppies? Because I want to expand her food range in meat since she is growing still. What sort of guppies should I get for Lexington? Um, yeah. And now you may be asking yourself, JP, why exactly do you have a snapping turtle? Well, if you're new here, uh, I got a snapping turtle that was because we found it on the road and it was going to be hit by a car. Um, so technically, her name's Lucky Lexington because uh, uh, something they did too is messed up. But when we found her, she was going to be hit by a car, so we picked her up, um, brought her here, put her in a 10-gallon for now, then switched to a 25-gallon. That 25-gallon was not watertight. I sort of had a feeling for that was the case. It was not watertight, and now with it being freezing cold, getting down to the 40s at night, I brought her inside because I don't want her to freeze. Um, so here we are now. But anyways, what I was going to say is I got inspired by Clint's reptiles. If you know anything about Clint's reptiles, he's a professor out in, well, professor, I think zoologist or like biologist, something like that, out in Utah. Same state I was born and raised in for 14 years. And out there, snapping turtles are an invasive species, and you have to do one. If I remember correctly, you have to do one of two things. Either a, if you catch them, either a, kill it or keep it. Well, he's dealt with four, or has like four snapping turtles now. His first one he ever had was I think Bubba, and he's the one you see on the Snapping Turtles Best Pet video. And that was a wild caught one too. And what I want to do is just kind of show that snapping turtles are misunderstood, because he's got a bunch of videos stating we've been wrong about snapping turtles and all of that. And anytime he gets to talk about snapping turtles, he brings up that there's a good chance they're misunderstood. Oh, look at the crawfish. Giant. And yes, I did pop off the, I think that's a female, truth be told. It was trying to cannibalize a smaller crawfish, which, yes, crawfish will cannibalize each other. That's normally how you find crawfish with broken arms or missing arms, is because they during fights and all of that, they'll take the arm will pop off, and they'll run away, and the victor with the arm in hand will consume that arm. Or if they're small things, though, like this one was doing, was breaking into the burrow and was trying to eat a smaller one. Go figure. But yeah, they're pests around here. That's why I plopped it in here for her. And yeah. But anyways, getting back on topic, is uh, he's he also has a big video coming out, I guess. Um, he stated it in the latest video he made, that they have a video coming out on snapping turtles. But yeah, I got inspired, and I, with me having general fishing license, and obviously not keeping any fish of myself, I was like, you know what? I'm more confident in me keeping a snapping turtle alive than a thing. So I was trying to actually fish for a snapping turtle. I know there's that sorts of problems there, and I was hoping for a larger one. But she showed up, so I picked her up. We got her, and yeah, now I got a snapping turtle, and she will be raised up and used as an educational ambassador for them. So I wouldn't be surprised if, or, well, not I wouldn't be, but don't be surprised if you end up seeing me on, like, news stations or whatnot with her, you know? Because they get a bad rep, and, well, I wouldn't say it's a bad rep, but more of a reputation of being snappy, and that is true on land. There, however, has not been any that I know of, and even Clint's Reptiles has even stated. There's not that many. There's like no reports of them biting a person in water. Now, alligator snapping turtles, there have been. Um, and that's just due to how they hunt. Alligator snapping turtles sit and wait. You end with their mouth open. You end up sticking your fingers or arm or foot into the mouth, and it goes, "Ooh, food!" Clomp, and it goes, "Oh wait, that's not food." It's always like a mistake bite. Commons, on the other hand, you don't hear about that. Even those guys, like, for example, this is gonna show uh, how I grew up. Anyone remember Turtle Man? That show. The guy from Kentucky who was like a rehabber. He'd get sprayed by skunks and stuff like that. And his whole shtick was mostly going into ponds and pulling out by hand snapping turtles from ponds and all of that, and relocating them, stuff like that. He's never been bit, even doing that. And doing that technique. So many other people have done that technique and never been bit, but the moment they're out of water, that's when they start biting and getting defensive. So there's that. But here's the thing, too, is even still, if you have respect for the animal and you give it you show them respect and like make them trust you, or like give them a reason not to bite. A lot of the encounters with snappers go perfectly fine. Actually, in general, a lot, like just like venomous snakes, a lot of snapper encounters are mundane. That's all it is. Because where I go fishing at, there's a giant snapper that if I ever catch, and my line don't snap, I will take him. Because he's big, a big snapper. I guarantee you, it's a male. Oh, look at her moving. I guarantee it's a big male snapper, close to probably 30, 40 years old, if not older. But he's a giant snapper. And I've seen him a few times, and it's just his head. You'll see his head pop out of the water, and you'll be like, and I'll be like, Mama, look, snapping turtle. And then he'll slowly sink back down. Exactly like she does. And before I even got her, I made a video like, would anyone want to see videos on snapping turtles? And specifically me, if I caught one and kept it, would y'all like to see me working with it and everything? I got a bunch of yeses and positive stuff, so I said, okay, I'll definitely do that. Anyway, so I was doing a lot of this research even before I got the snapping turtle. Then Lexington showed up, and it wasn't the size I was wanting. But it does help, because since she's smaller, when she does snap, it doesn't do much damage, because she's only snapped 3-4 times. And all the times it was because I was antagonizing her. I was poking her face and everything to get her head, not to be head shy and everything. And yeah, and it was also because she's in the sun. Also, she's looking at me and that minnow. But yeah, honestly, like I said though, all the time she snapped, it's because of me. She, I've, I can hold her when she's warmed up and everything, and moving and wanting to run and everything, and nothing, literally nothing. And even still, and I've had her going on 3 months now. So there's that. But I think what it is she sees me as the food giver. She's like, hey, no one's trying to eat me. I don't like that I'm being picked up off the ground and poked and all of that. So I'll snap when he pokes at me. But even still, she's, I think she or he, whatever, I still don't know if it's male or female. We're thinking female. And thanks to one of you subscribers, uh, you know who you are. You kind of helped back up our idea that she is female, which is actually a good thing. Females are smaller than males. Um, Still not by much. That's still close to a 10 pound. Actually, that is a 10 pound turtle still, because I think males, like the largest males, are close to 20 pounds, 30 pounds, and I guarantee you, the big snapping turtle that I did see, that I have been seeing where I go fishing at, um, I guarantee you he's a 40 pounder. Now, one thing that is that I have thought about is, what am I gonna do with her when she gets bigger? Obviously, I'm going to keep her. I can't get rid of her now. She's been in captivity for, I'm gonna say, too long at this point, because she's gotten used to me. She's been handled by a lot of people. She's been handled by me. But even still, if I was going to release her, where she was picked up at, there's this big pond. Well, not pond, but it was like a drainage ditch that was filled with water, and the water wouldn't drain. Well, they drained the water and got rid of all the snapping turtles there. Like, there's none left. I guarantee all the snapping turtles are probably in the woods and in some creeks now, close by. But still, where she was found, where she was living at for the, what I'd say about year she's been alive for, because see, see, she's a good size. She fits in my palm, but not by much. Oh, look, she raised up a little bit, and I didn't even touch her. But yeah, she's not bad. She's not a bad turtle. Actually, she's an amazing turtle. And like I said, obviously, if you want a snapping turtle, look at your laws, right? Definitely look at your laws if you can own a snapping turtle. Okay? Obviously, I have my general fishing license. And in the state of Pennsylvania, which is funny, your general fishing license is for you to keep. Now, if you were to sell or whatever, you need another permit on top of that, because she is a native species. So obviously look at your laws, especially if they're native, because they're in some areas. Pennsylvania has a very healthy population of snappers. However, in other areas, they do not. So look at your laws, see what you need, and then if you do want a snapping turtle, I am going to say this as someone with a wild-caught snapping turtle. If they are invasive in your area, get them. Get them from the wild. Take them out of the wild and take good care of them. You know. Um. However, if they are not and they are native, do not take them from the wild. Buy them from breeders. just because they can be diseased, stuff like that. And you may not get as lucky as I did. However, if you're careful, you know what you're doing. Even with a wild caught one, I'm sure you can get it to calm down. But um, I am highly against taking animals from the wild. However, when it comes to what I want to do, she's not a pet. She's an educational ambassador, I am calling her. My nanny got the dogs howling. But she's an educational ambassador. I am going to end up. What I want to do is make my own zoo, like logical facility and stuff like that. Or if I were to maybe work at like one of my local zoos, I would bring her in, so she has this big naturalistic enclosure with the top of the line uh care, you know, and then she can be an ambassador that we can actually take out and let people interact with her, show that these guys don't need to be scared, like feared. Obviously, they need to be respected, yes, because they are an animal that gets massive with a strong bite. But with that being said, they shouldn't be feared. And with a lot of turtles, snapping turtles included, they did a study where, and it was pretty much where they used a fake turtle with a camera. They put it on the road and to study the effects. Like, do people stop or hit them or ignore them and go around them, whatnot? 9 times out of 10 in that study that was made, 9 times out of 10, the people would go hit the turtle, with the majority of them swerving out of their way to hit the turtle. That's something that shouldn't happen. So to have a snapping turtle who was once wild caught, who is wild, and calm her down, work with her. Look, she's a curious creature. She's looking around. She can feel through her shell because that's her spine, and she's moving and everything. I want to show that like, this is my livelihood. I want to show that they don't need to be feared or anything. They don't need to be harmed, And I do want to end up making a video where I grab a wild caught one out of the road and teach you how you can properly do that, and yeah, how to properly pick them up without hurting them or getting yourself hurt. And there she goes into the water. Also, I read they are shallow. Yeah, she's trying to get in. I read they are shallow water turtles, which is true, and they will actually bury themselves into extremely deep water overwinter in the mud. So, but should I add more water? Because I'm doing everything right. I know that much, but I'm a little one thing that's a problem with me is when it comes to my animals, I get over worried or over cautious, if that makes sense. That I don't mess up something. So, do you think I should put more water in so she can swim, or is this good enough? Because, I mean, she's fully submerged. And, yeah, she is stuck. Uh, but she ends up getting up underneath there and will turn around and can breathe. Or she'll pop her head out there and breathe. She moves around all over the place. So, I know when she's stuck, I don't have to worry. But, yeah. She's also a really light snapping turtle. Um, But yeah, Pennsylvania is one of the few places where you can go to a reptile expo and see snapping turtles for sale. I seen one that was about her size that was for sale yesterday at that one that I showed the took video of the blue tree monitor at, which go check that out. The blue does not show up well on camera. Like, it's blue, but in person it's blue, like it's vibrant blue. It's gorgeous. But yeah, I like I said, she's not a pet in a way. Like, I love her and will treat her exactly the same as I would any of my other pets, and take extra care of her too, especially with everything that's happened to the area and probably with her. And I guarantee you she's like, this is better. I don't have to worry about predators or the bigger guys bullying me and all of that. Which I will say, in a sense, snapping turtles are communal. In a sense. Because anywhere that has water, that has snapping turtles, you see like a shit ton. However, the large ones will prey on hatchlings. Oh, look at her pop her head out. And there she goes. She's breathing. Actually, I think she's looking out. Oh, did y'all see the blink? Yeah, I think she's looking out of the water at me more than anything. They do have a nictitating membrane, so the third eye, because of that, so they can see underwater. But, yeah, she's poking her head fully out so she can breathe. That's why her nose is long, too, is because they'll snorkel. Because normally, they'll only stretch their neck out so much so for their little nosy there, see it, to pop up out of the water so they can breathe. However, when they bring their eyes up, it's to look above water, and I think she's doing that because I'm talking. She can hear me, she can feel the vibrations, She knows who I am, to a point. I don't think she still fully knows what's in store for her, or what I'm doing with her. She knows for a fact. Oh, hey, he's giving me food, so I'll tolerate him. But I don't think she knows exactly how loved she is, and how lucky she is that I picked her up and not someone else. But the weird thing, and that makes me sort of think she might have been someone's pet and might actually have been a captive bred snapping turtle, is just how calm she is. But here's the thing. I actually think she probably is a wild snapping turtle who's not used to people. But I think this is just her personality. There's some who are less trustworthy, less tolerant, and more likely to bite than others, just like any other animal, where there's some that are overly defensive and aggressive. Aggressive in a sense that they're scared. And then others, like Lexington, are timid, but not defensive in a sense, if that makes sense. And, I mean, it could also be just because she's younger, too. But here's the thing. She's about a year old to 9 months old. Um, Actually, I think she is a year old now, probably. So, she's been in the wild for an entire year. I guarantee you she's had her hardships. And, in fact, she probably could have died if she wasn't picked up. Because I guarantee you that truck would have hit her. Um, but, but I've also noticed, too, there are other snapping turtles that I've encountered in the wild, especially where I go fishing at. They are outgoing, like really, really outgoing and very inquisitive. Like they won't come up to me, but when I cast my fishing rod out, they'll watch my bobber and go, "Ooh, maybe they got food," or "What is that?" Then they'll go down, look, and you can tell they're messing with my bobber because the bobber will move around some, but never go down. And it's just like, huh, interesting. And then they'll come up, maybe mess with the bobber here and there, like, what is that? And then leave. Or they'll swim away, pop up, and just stare at me. And where I go fishing at, there's a lot of grass mats, and I wouldn't say it's deep in a sense. It's probably like 5 feet where not 5 feet, probably like 10 feet where the turtles hang out at, which is shallow, or like I'd say it's probably closer to 8 feet because I'm not too sure. Don't quote me. I'm not someone who's going to jump in and go swimming. I can't swim, but yeah, you can tell with snapping turtles specifically, but turtles in general, they have an intelligence, and they can and are inquisitive. As the turtles I have caught, you will watch them check out my bobber and everything, and then go, "Ooh, a worm, chomp! Damn it, I've been hooked." Actually, I've had turtles steal my bait. Like they know what a hook is, and they will actually come up, and a bobber too, and they'll actually come out and tug on the worm and all of that. No big deal, right? You know, turtles do that. So do fish. Will tug on the worm, get the pieces off that aren't hooked, and then what they have done is bit down on the hook, and as we reel in, after a certain point, they pull. Uh, they fight too because I think they get slightly hooked. They fight too, and then after a certain point, they will spit the hook out with like no, there'd be no bait, but they'll spit the hook out right at you. it's it's pretty terrifying. And I don't actively try to fish for turtles because I feel bad. I don't like the sounds they make, nor do I like unhooking the turtle. So I'm glad it was this way and not me hooking her or anything like that. But what I might end up doing too is getting my licenses to breed and sell them. So we have a new bloodline too. But even if I don't sell them just to breed and have and give to zoos or whatnot, would be great. Because that's one animal that you don't see zoos give love to is common snapping turtles. Now, the alligator snapping turtles you'll see at zoos, but not common snapping turtles. And commons are such awesome creatures. Anyone who I think there's only one zoo that I can think of, and I wouldn't say they're a zoo in a sense, as they're like a pet shop and a small little exhibit place, but Snake Discovery, because they have their snapping turtle Chloe, I think her name is. Yeah, and that's supposed to be the anaconda enclosure, but because their anaconda doesn't eat in large enclosures, it for some reason prefers a small enclosure to eat in. They figured to they'll move their snapping turtle in there. So that's the only zoo that I can think of here in North America that has a snapping turtle. If you've seen common snapping turtles in zoos, and they're good zoos, please comment down below which zoos and like where the state they're in and which is the name of the zoo, because I'll go check them out and definitely give them some love, because they're zoos. Without zoos, we wouldn't have conservations conservation, and for some animals we wouldn't have them at all, like our tigers, our Amur leopards, stuff like that, we wouldn't have without zoos. And people are like, zoos are bad, blah this, blah that. Zoos are the only places that are actively keeping and have conservation plans and set and breeding programs to keep them around, so you don't have to explain to your children or grandchildren what a tiger is, you know? And without zoos, a lot of these zoos, we wouldn't have golden golden dart frogs or golden please forgive me, I'm drawing a blank. But there's a yellow South American frog species that was being absolutely annihilated by this fungus disease thing. I forget exactly what it is, but it's a fungus, and it is deadly to them. And pretty much what happened was researchers found them, picked them up after discovering them, and then years later or whatnot came back and pretty much picked up the rest of the individuals population, pretty much. So like, as far as I know, or I've been told, there probably is not any left in the wild, because we took them all and they were distributed to zoos for a breeding program. Now in captivity there's, oh lord, I don't know, close to 1,000 or more. Actually, there's over 1,000. I think it's closer to 1,000,000. And all of those animals, once there's a cure and once the fungus is wiped out and detained and everything, they will release them all back into the wild, which is awesome to think about. And without captive, like zoos and captive breeding in general, we wouldn't have axolotls. If you know anything about axolotls, they're from two lakes in Mexico. They're high altitude lakes, so the water's cold and everything. However, they're drying up. Those lakes are drying up, which means many of the rest of those wild axolotls will be extinct. And it's unfortunate. So the only place you will see axolotls is either in your home or at a zoo, and it's an unfortunate event. And what it is I think it's multiple factors, but the main one being climate change. And we see a lot about that. We see how our ice caps are melting, so our waters are rising. Our there's less and less habitat for our polar bears, and there's so much other stuff that's happening because of it. Our storms, tropical storms, are getting worse, and yeah. Anyways, I went off topic, but Yeah, she's the there's a reason I have her, and it's not as a pet. I want to educate people with her and prove everyone who's ever had a bad experience with them that if you get to know them and actually learn about them more, you will find out that they're not the bloodthirsty monsters, or like they're not evil or aggressive or whatever. And in turn, I have a feeling she and so many other snapping turtles, captive snapping turtles, will be able to help bring protections onto these creatures and help these creatures' habitats be protected. So we have them in the wild. Um, and if not, maybe she can help change people's minds on snapping turtles. It's the same reason I want to get venomous snakes, and it's the same reason I will get venomous snakes. However, her bite, I'm not scared of. A venomous snake, I am. Just due to all the problems that come with it. And how expensive it is, too. But that's a topic for another video. So, yeah. Like, comment, let me know what you think. And, I, uh, I really do have big plans for her, so, yeah. Um, everyone say hi to, ooh, she's saying goodbye. Look at her. But yeah, everyone say goodbye to Lexington for now. And, this is JP signing out. For now, peace.